Hello, welcome back to Baki Talki, Season 5, the final season, Episode 10? Something like that? Yeah, it's tough when it's not recorded in order. But to help us discuss one of the most interesting episodes of the season, we've got friend of the show, it's Sumeeta.
Yeah, I'm so happy to be here.
All right.
I'm serious. There's a lot of great stuff that happens in this episode that I can't wait to dissect.
Yeah, I was having fun rewatching this. But, before we get to that, so I've been asking people all season, what did they want to see happen in Baki that hasn't happened? But the weird thing is, this episode and the finale that you've seen, there's not a lot of time in between. So I'm going to flip it a bit. What's something that you wish would have happened in the past? Like, what's something that you wish you had seen previously that didn't happen in Baki, that if you were running the show, you would have added?
Oh my god, dude. If I was running the show. Okay, the thing is, I've probably actually only seen like fully the episodes that I've been on the show for.
Of course.
So if I were to say that I would like to have seen something, it's possible that those things may have happened. However, I'm fairly certain that there are no women fighters in the show. I'm fairly certain that no woman talks at all, except for I don't even remember her name, Kozue, and maybe Baki's mom,
Yeah.
if that's the person who shows up in the flashback.
Make your father
So just
happy, Baki.
Do as you're told. Make your father happy.
Yeah, that's his mom, right? Okay.
Yeah.
So I'm pretty certain that not a lot of women get to do a lot of talking, and there's no cool, like, women fighting would be so cool.
Yeah.
So if I was a showrunner, I mean, there's a lot of things I would do differently if I was a showrunner. I probably start with not doing this show, but yeah, more women represent. It's 2024. Baki. Go on.
No, it's a great point. I remember when Muhammad Ali was on and they had that whole season about what if his son was a famous boxer. Meanwhile, you have Layla Ali as like a real life famous daughter of Muhammad Ali, who's a great boxer. Yeah, no, I think Baki's going to keep running for years, and I don't think we'll ever see a woman get into a fight, but who knows? That would be something I'd be looking forward to as well. So this episode is just one part of the father-son fight, and a lot goes on. So let's just start at the beginning. It's hand pocket time. What did you think of the initial fight?
It's hand pocket time.
Their hands in their pockets are constantly observing, watching for the now that will come at any second. It is just like the sword, sitting inside the sheath, waiting for the moment it's drawn.
There was a lot of, I didn't fully get the whole, like, it's the half second before now, and now, and now, and now it's 5 seconds. So that was kind of silly. But there was a lot of, like, tension in the beginning. And then is it really that much? Okay, so they're fighting.
Mm-hmm.
They're fighting, and they're both waiting for the other person to make the move. It's like a duel. It's like who can...
It's like cowboy
draw quicker.
times.
Cowboy times. And then Dad does a thing where he's like, I'm gonna count down from 5, and when I get to 0, the room better be clean, except for it's punching.
I'll give a countdown of the 5 seconds myself, before letting loose with my attack against you.
And then so he starts to do his punch, but then actually Baki was like half a second quicker. By, instead of taking his hands out of his pockets, he drops his pants. He moves his pants down to get his hands out instead of getting his hands out. I don't know if that's really that much quicker
That's what
to do, but I'll be doing that from now on, I guess. And he does a move called Joe Exotic, I think.
He was the first one to use this technique. That's how he keeps the tigers in line.
The upper jaw and lower jaw. This secret technique imitates crushing tiger jaws. It's called Tiger King.
So he does a thing called Tiger King, and everyone's really amazed by that. And then he puts his dad into like a not a headlock. What's it called? Like a position where he's on top and he's got his one arm in a hold. A submission hold, yes.
Just want to put this out here. Sumeeta actually pays to learn martial arts. I just watch anime. Which one? Who knows more?
Biscuit Oliver is narrating. Also, a guy with an eye patch is narrating. There are very, very many large men who all have the exact same voice that are narrating all the time. And then, sorry, do we need to debrief about that?
No, yeah. No, like, I think you touched on what I wanted to say, specifically the Tiger King move. I do love the visual of Joe Exotic trying to pull this off. It sounds like something he'd say he could do, but I don't think it is. For the listeners, I think this is if you wrapped your legs around somebody's head and, like, kneed them in the skull and the back of the head at the same time. Something like that.
Yeah, with the force of Tiger's jaws.
Yeah.
Tiger's jaw, it was.
You'd think if it actually had the force of a tiger's jaw, his head would just come off, but
yeah,
that might be anticlimactic.
That would be the most exciting thing that this episode could have done.
Well, especially because you've seen the finale, it would have been a big twist if Yujiro's head popped off in this episode.
If he just died, yeah, that would have been really cool.
Well, yeah, because then it's like, what happens after? It's like there's no such thing as ghosts in this show. Like,
yeah, exactly. Well, okay, let's not spoiler. Come on.
So, yeah. So Yujiro is in a submission hold. Like, this is, I think the narrator even says, this is Baki's best move of the night. He has Yujiro in a tough spot.
Yes.
And Baki's, he's got a high opinion of Yujiro. I think he says something like, I know I know you can get out of this. Like, come on. And then Yujiro then gives him the okay signal. I was thinking of, that thing where it's like, if you see somebody make that thing, it's like a game where you try and make people see it. I don't know.
Oh, yeah, and the photos, and it's like, oh, it made you look. It's like the game.
Yeah, exactly.
Then
I was wondering if
white supremacy connections or something.
Sorry, what did you just say?
It had like white supremacy connections, the okay sign, didn't it?
Oh,
it was
good. Okay, I can just edit out this section where I brought it up.
Yeah, he does that. He swears at does Baki swear a lot? Because I think this was the first I heard him swear.
Before this fight, I would say he swears occasionally, but he has a potty mouth in this episode. He is just
Man, if I swore like that at my dad, he'd beat me up too.
Yeah. Well, yeah, maybe. Do you think that's the main motivation here? Is just that Baki's been swearing? Yeah.
His father's trying to discipline his very unruly son. Who, by the way, he's in high school. Is this true?
I thought he had recently graduated, but apparently he's still in high school. So, yeah.
Okay. He's so large for a high schooler. Okay, so Dad does the okay sign, and then he begins lifting his right arm.
Now he's lifting his right arm and lifting his arm up. What's that supposed to mean? Is he feeling confident? He has to have some reason for doing it. Is he agitated or confused? I can't predict what he's gonna do.
And then Baki starts monologuing in his head about why he could possibly be lifting his right arm. Why is he lifting his right arm? What could it mean? Lifting his right arm? Is he confused? Is he agitated? Is he some kind of idiot? What is he gonna do by lifting his right arm? It doesn't make sense to me. So he starts lifting his right arm, which if I was in that position, I would understand why the person that I'm fighting is trying to fight back.
Mm-hmm. But would you be able to predict what he's doing? I feel like it's a bit of an unorthodox maneuver.
Punching the asphalt like Jello?
Yeah, like punching through the ground to punch you. I don't think I'd see that coming.
Yeah, so I guess he was good to question that. He was right to wonder.
Now here's the other question. As you are a trained fighter here, if you were hit like that, do you think you would piss your pants?
Yeah, so there's a lot of piss in this.
Clearly you can see, this fight, I'm gonna win even if it means pissing my own pants.
if I did hypothetically piss my pants, I don't know that I would be talking about it so much. They talk about the piss so much, Steve.
Yeah.
So much piss. I'm gonna win, even if it means pissing my own pants. My dad's pretty awesome, huh? He's so strong that even I, Baki Hanma, pissed my pants.
Well, what do you think, everybody? My dad's pretty awesome, huh? He's so strong that even I, Baki Hanma, pissed my pants.
That line made me wonder if there's something else going on here. He seems
Yeah.
a little too happy to bring it up.
He's very happy about this. He's like, I cry, I wet myself. Even if I gotta cry or piss myself. Like, he keeps saying that.
And he keeps bundling it in with things like, I'm sneaky, I'm deceptive, I pissed my pants. Like as if it had some benefit. But there's no point in the fight where it helps.
It didn't help. And it's gotta be like a fetish thing for the writer or something, because it comes up a lot. And then followed by his dad saying about, immediately after all the piss talk, his dad's like, oh, my son just gave me the first thrill of my life. That's so weird.
Yep. Yeah, no, it's an odd family dynamic.
And then also, later on, I mean, I don't want to jump ahead too much,
yeah.
but later on, and I don't know if you watched it the same way, but I was watching it with the English dub, but still with the subtitles on, so I could see what the original translation would have been.
Mm-hmm.
And there's another part where he talks about pee. While he's like basically dying, he's like, I gave it everything I had, even my pee. I squeezed out every last bit of energy, but they leave out the even my pee in the English dub, and I don't know why, because they left in so much piss earlier. Why is there so much piss? Why did he have to pee himself? What was that trying to show?
I have no idea. And especially you're right. It doesn't really flow into anything. It'd be the equivalent of like if I graduated and I was like, oh man, I can't, all those nights I spent studying, all of those days at the library, I even pissed my pants every day. It wasn't helpful. It's just
So he's peeing.
Yeah.
He has peed.
Actually, this is my theory. This fight has tons of callbacks to Baki, all throughout. All of his enemies are in the audience. Hand pockets is another callback. Each episode is referencing parts. And maybe so many times in this anime, people have peed on each other that it just sort of had to come back up. That could be a reason.
I couldn't remember if pee happened before, but it didn't seem as shocking to me as it could have been. I feel like it's happened.
On the 80 episodes of this podcast, it's probably happened in 15 of them. Is my estimate.
So no women, but lots of pissing your pants is allowed.
Editor Steve, if you're ever trying to sell Baki to your friends but you just can't put together the right words, feel free to steal that. Yeah.
Right. Okay.
That's what happens when it's just the guys.
Women can pee their pants too. I do it all the time. They could have done that. Okay. Anyway, so he pees his pants and then.
Well, we can move around a bit. There's one really quick scene that they have where we cut to two guys at a bar talking to each other. Any thoughts on that or?
You wanna watch some family's father and son fight? Well, I do want to watch.
No, I didn't even make any notes about this because I was like, who are these guys? What? Yeah. Who? They have the same voice. They're large. They're talking about watching a father-son fight. Who are they?
That is Hanayama and Chiharu. They're just acquaintances of Baki, and they've decided to come to the fight. They will eventually make it to the fight, and they'll sort of wiggle their way to the front of the crowd. But anyway, yeah. Okay, so moving on, Yujiro decides to take things seriously, and this is where he reveals the demon back, the sort of trademark of Yujiro and the Hanma bloodline. First off, what do you think about the anatomy going on here? And then second, well, we'll do that, and then we'll go to ancient Egypt.
Yeah. I was gonna say. Well, did we got him smashing into a car? Yojiro smashes Baki into a car.
Yes.
And that's when he reveals the too bad about some guy's car, I guess. Then he reveals his back.
So just before so Lindsay was watching this episode with me, and I think that was when she just left the room out of just being done with it. But it was funny because they had two back-to-back quotes, which was, "Oh no, my car is being totally destroyed," and then the other guy said, "You're gonna kill your son." Which we were saying that there's two types of people in the world.
Yeah.
But it was also funny because right before the car was destroyed, Lindsay said, "Oh, that car just got destroyed." So.
Yeah. I mean, it was a van. It was a pretty big car.
Yeah, that's like the third car that's been wrecked. All of them by throwing Baki into them, which is impressive.
Yeah, man. They gotta start writing him into insurance policies. No,
would this count as I think this would be an active demon back.
Probably, yeah. Okay, so back demon.
Mm-hmm.
Did you watch Malignant?
Malignant?
The movie?
Like Maleficent?
Malignant? It's like, yeah, it sounds like Maleficent. Very different movie. Malignant?
Okay, I know the word.
Movie.
I don't know the movie. Oh, it's a horror movie? That's why I don't watch those.
Yeah. Look it up. I think you'll like it.
Is it like a horror movie where vans are the victims, or?
I don't want to spoil anything for anybody, but it's a pretty ridiculous movie, and well, maybe I'll spoil it. It's well, I barely remember it, but it involves a parasitic demon twin that never actually died and is on this girl's back of her head, and it takes over, and she starts, and the twin starts fighting. You can edit this out in case anybody wants to watch it, but it's very like there's a demon on her back fighting.
Oh, I
So
see.
it was like that.
I wonder.
Watch the trailer or something. It's pretty.
Yeah,
weird.
no. I will do my research on this.
Yeah.
This was before I had a kid. I'm not watching this movie. I looked it up on Wikipedia. It's a real movie. Came out in 2021. It's 111 minutes long, and it almost made back its budget. That's my research.
Scary back demon, really grotesque anatomy.
No, it sounds just like Yujiro Hanma.
Oh no, sorry, that is what I'm talking about.
Yeah,
I switched back to Yujiro Hanma. Yeah, grotesque. But yeah, in ancient Egypt, Professor Chris says it's an anatomically exact, which is interesting. Which, by the way, Professor Chris, not a real guy.
Whoa, can you believe this?
Who'd have thought an ancient chamber of this size still existed? Professor Chris, what is this?
What? I think I love that guy. He's so cool. He's got like a formal or an informal relationship with his students, I guess.
He's like, call me Professor, but also call me Chris. Not Christopher. I'm cool. Professor Chris. Yeah. Weird. It really reminded me of Yu-Gi-Oh! For a bit. Because in Yu-Gi-Oh! They also had a whole, towards the end, everything actually went back to ancient Egypt and like hieroglyphics and like.
Oh yeah. Well, I would much more believe the stuff in Yu-Gi-Oh! Than this Professor Chris's opinion. Like this dude, like I don't think this is how the discoveries work. It's just, well, actually maybe it is. But this is like 1850s science of just like some random white guy coming into the room and just going, yes, this anatomy is perfect, and you can see all of these spears mean like.
This is exactly what it means. Hold on, is that a flashback? That's not like present day.
Oh, I don't know. Like it's not like any of these characters ever interact with people, so like I assume it could have happened at any point in history.
Yeah, there's no reason we need to know Professor Chris's name. Does he ever come back?
He comes back in the finale, I believe, that you watched.
well, I forget.
Because he's the one talking about all the diverse crowd that assembles.
Oh.
Yeah.
I see. So, Yojiro has a back demon, the Oni. I guess that's the whole bloodline.
Mm-hmm.
It's
And he's
revealed that I guess it was prophesized in ancient Egypt.
Yeah. And he's going to force Baki to start using his demon back by challenging him to a shadow duel, throwing him into a car a bunch of times. This is where the episode gets fun, though. Takes a real left turn. And for the first and only time, we have some mysticism in this show. And the ghost of Baki's granddad shows up.
Dad? Yuichiro Hanma? Are you lost or something? Huh?
What is it?
Yuichiro Hanma?
Who's that?
Are you my grandpa?
What was going through your mind as this happened?
I don't know what was going through my mind because my mind doesn't know what to expect anymore. But yeah, I saw him and I was like, oh my God, Gramps. He has a very different voice from everybody else, which I appreciate.
I loved his
like
voice. When he said, like, Baki, my boy. Like, it's so funny.
Yeah.
Baki, my boy.
Yes, sir?
You know you can beat him, if you want.
It hits different. And then some other guy can also see him. Some other guy who remembers April 1st, 1945.
Yep, Tokugawa.
Who's that other guy? Yeah.
Yeah, Tokugawa, he's just sort of the old guy who runs the fighting arena.
Dude. You know what else? There's so much internal monologue in this show. Everything is narrated by mind. I feel like, do you think they just did that to save on animation?
Yes and no. I think that they're very happy that they don't have to animate the mouths moving. But I think at the same time,
well, all that budget just goes into the grotesque muscles. So
exactly, yes. To be honest, I somebody said that once because I was complaining about the animation in this show, and they pointed out that like the more complicated a character is, the more it costs to animate them. And these are some of the grossest, most detailed characters out there when you actually like.
Yeah.
So they don't always move the best way.
Before Gramps showed up, what was that thing that goes like this? What was that?
Oh, are you talking
about
the caveman?
Oh, that's the caveman? That's Pickle?
Yeah, Pickle was watching too. Yeah, he was the guy with the big long hair. He only had a few shots.
How does he talk like that?
Well, he doesn't know Japanese. he's just a caveman.
Okay. He can only understand the language of fighting.
Yes.
Okay.
Exactly.
So, Ghost Gramps, and then turns out he defeated America, and he was the reason for the atom bomb, almost.
He would have been the third atom bomb, I think. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Watching this episode, it felt like, you ever hear about like Vampire Diaries? How it's a love triangle, right? But the vampires lived for a long time, and because of that, they fought on different sides of the Civil War. So it's like, I think they just came up with that for fun. But it does mean that one person in the love triangle was like a Confederate soldier. And that's how I felt watching this whole episode, as we learn about the heroic Yuichiro Hanma fighting for Japan in World War II against the U.S. military. This
guy hates America.
Oh my God, yeah. I mean, not a positive portrayal of the U.S. Marine Corps in this. But like, I could talk for ages on this story. Every aspect of it is hilarious. Like, for some reason, during the U.S. invasion of Okinawa, first of all, they've decided to encircle this island that seems to just be a rock with nothing on it. But then for some reason, Yuichiro Hanma just is there. Like, he doesn't have, like, I don't, like, unless they have a catapult on there, he's not going to do anything on this island. And the U.S. military decides to, like, flatten the island. They just bomb it for days.
There's a puny, solitary island, less than a kilometer in circumference, so small that it's not on any map. Into that small afterthought of an island, more than 1,000 tons of explosives were launched in total against it.
Before then sending troops in on like the Normandy D-Day landing boats to just all die. It's I don't know. I love watching World War II like recaps of moments in history, and I wish somebody made a fake one for this. Like it doesn't make any sense. And then they decide, why don't we just nuke them?
Because the Japanese man proved so unbeatable, General James asked Supreme Commander General Douglas MacArthur for permission to use the unthinkable, an atom bomb.
Like, do you think that would have worked, or do you think he would have just swam underwater or something?
Yeah, I think he would have come up with a way to get out of it.
Honestly, you could take this whole Yuichiro section and like just Control F replace Godzilla, and it would be a very similar plot. Like,
yeah, true. Wasn't Godzilla like a metaphor for the atom bomb or something?
Yeah, exactly. Up? Yeah. Yuichiro is a metaphor for
Godzilla in turn is a metaphor for the atom bomb. Yeah, got it.
Yes. Yeah. You get it. You get what I'm saying. Yeah. And the best part about the Yuichiro thing is he shows up as a ghost that people can very clearly see, specifically Baki, his dad, and for some reason Tokugawa. We get the flashback. And then he leaves.
Yeah, he's never seen again. He's like, oh, I guess you had stuff to do. Like, crazy.
And like,
is that the last time he shows up? That's it?
Yeah, he ain't coming back.
They hired a full voice actor for that?
Yeah, and a fancy one too. But I honestly don't know enough about his character motivation to know why he showed up. Like, he just appeared and was like, Baki, my boy, you can beat your dad, and then just leaves. But the impact of it'll be, the whole next episode is called Dress, because that's his secret move. Like, all he does is show up and give Yujiro a secret move to use. So it's like, I don't know.
The move that Baki does on his dad in this
Tiger
one
King
fight is so cool sounding. The Tiger King. And this guy defeats America with Dress?
Yep. He doesn't just defeat America also. He kills, I assume, General MacArthur, throwing him through the deck. And then the entire crew of the USS Iowa jumps off of the ship into the water to avoid him, just because of how cool Dress is.
I wonder why it's called that.
Do you want to know?
Yeah, sure.
All right.
Do they explain it in the next episode?
Yes. So I guess this is, I'll just spoiler this out. Basically, it's when you pick up somebody and you start throwing them around your body, like they would do it with a rifle, almost like taking a rifle to a nunchuck, and you do it in a way where it's spinning around so much it looks like you're wearing a dress.
Wow, so cool.
Yeah. Well, yeah.
So cool. Tiger King.
Okay, all right, Sumeeta, show some respect. A lot of people died in World War II from this. A lot of heroes.
I'm sorry. You're right.
Never forget.
Never forget. Wearing my poppy.
That's why it's red. It's for Yujiro's hair. All right.
And that was the episode.
Yeah, I was about to say. My last note is just he left. Yeah.
He left and dress.
He left dress. Come back next week where me and Marcus talk about dress for another half hour. Marcus was hilarious.
Oh
When I was signing up the sheet, he literally put his name down for the finale. And he was like, is it too presumptuous for me to do the finale? And I was like, yeah, because I already filled it on the sheet. So he got the penultimate episode. All right. Well, Sumeeta.
This was great.
Oh, perfect. You're a step ahead of my question. This, I'm going to generalize it. You've been watching since the beginning of the second season, and by watching I mean coming out to this podcast.
Day one.
Day one, exactly. Day one of season 2. How do you think the show has, like, what was its trajectory? Did it peak early? Did it get better? Like, how did you view the show?
It's hard to say if it peaked because it just wasn't really very linear. It's kind of like Riverdale, where like it starts off kind of weird, and you're like, okay, this is fine, this is entertaining, and then it just keeps going into weird things. But no, like I gotta say, like I don't want to spoil, but the finale is pretty cool. It's pretty weird. So I feel like that's good. I mean, there you got a caveman who was unfrozen. You got space stuff. Like, there's no. How can you say it peaked early?
So maybe not completely linear, but a positive trend is what you're going for.
Yeah. Positive trend.
I like that assessment as well. And I'll also just say that unironically, I do think Riverdale is the closest show to Baki. I think it's one of the only shows that I could make a podcast in the same format as Baki, because they both have that same spirit of you never know what's going to happen next.
Yeah.
All right. Well,
so Baki is Archie?
Oh boy, is Baki Archie? He's got to be. And I guess Yujiro is Mr. Andrews.
Yeah, but that guy.
I think I watched like 3 episodes back when the biggest scandal was Mrs. Grundy was sleeping with
Groomer.
Archie. Mrs. Groomer. Yeah.
Mrs. Groomer.
Imagine accidentally hiring Mrs. Groomer. It's like,
how were we supposed to know that she was gonna do that?
How can we tell our students to not judge books by their cover if we don't do
Can't
the
even
same?
hire someone named Mrs. Groomer. Yeah.
We found her hitchhiking out of the state prison. All right. Well, Sumeeta, thank you so much for coming on this episode and all of the other episodes. It's been a pleasure having you on each week. And
It's been great. I laughed, I cried, I wet myself, I deceived.
Yeah.
And I played tricks.
And I guess on that spirit, I'll continue pissing myself each week until we can finish this podcast. That's my promise to you, listeners. I'll make sure. Let's all do one this week. Well, that's all the Baki that's all the Baki we've got to talk to. I'll see y'all next week.
Bye.
All right, recommendation corner. So I'm going to start off, of course, everybody knows the music to Neon Genesis Evangelion. This is sort of fun because this is the first time, to my knowledge, that one of my recommendations actually made somebody watch a show. Because I told last week people to watch Dynazenon, and then Jeff listened to that and told me to watch Neon Genesis Evangelion. So I sort of recommended myself this show through a chain of events. But I'm not going to do what I usually do and talk about too much about the show, because I think that this show has been discussed to death for 30 years. Honestly, it's been such a fun rabbit hole to come in at the end of this, because can you imagine watching this show in 1995? And first of all, like, I'm not going to talk about the ending, but it's very confusing. But then they made a movie 2 years later. And then they started a rebuild of 4 movies in like 2005 or so. And it only ended in 2021. Like, there was a 10-year gap between the movies. Like, if you were a fan of this series waiting for a conclusion, I think you would have lost your mind. But luckily, I could just watch them all in a week. And that's what I did. What did I like about this show? I almost feel like this show would have been better if it stayed simpler. I love the animation and the visuals. The Fortress City of Tokyo 2 is my highlight. Whenever it comes on, whenever the drums start playing and you see 19 bajillion guns just start firing at an angel that do nothing, that is the highlight of every episode for me. And you see the same shot of Misato looking at the camera being like, ah, shit, what are we going to do? Let's just throw Evas at it. I love that. I love the music. The music is just very like, you know, it's not uniform. Like, there's a lot of different songs and they all sort of work. And I like the characters. The characters are good too. I'm not going to go into that too much. I do think that it has sort of a problem focusing in too much in Shinji. I think that it focuses way too much on becoming a metaphor for the director's life at certain points. But it was good. But this is only half a recommendation for Evangelion because it made me think about a different type of show that I like. Basically, I've learned I like shows where the characters are dumb. It's fun. It's fun to see, and it's not like it's easier to write. Like, writing dumb characters requires skill. I've I don't always mention the shows because it feels like weird to recommend them, but I'm watching this one right now. I'm only halfway through, and it left such an impression on me. It's called Gamers, which, if you're like me, I can't even, like, you can tell this is the 50th anime I've watched. Like, I'm scraping the bottom of the barrel if I pick a show called Gamers. Shout out to all my gamers out there. But this show, I realized halfway through that the gaming is just set dressing, and that it is a dedication to try and create the most misunderstandings in a love pentagon that you can. Like, every character on this show misunderstands every other character's relationship in a unique way. So, like, you have to pull out like combinatorics if you want to figure out how many misunderstandings are going on at the same time. And it's clunky. Like, you don't get that way with characters that are smart. Like, these characters are purposely dumb, comedically dumb, and honestly, going from Evangelion, where I'm like watching people watch Evangelion as I watch Evangelion, as like sad music plays in the background, to a show where everybody is just a complete idiot and there's no stakes. It's been such a palate cleanser, and I highly recommend it to anybody who does end up. So this is my duo recommendation, to watch Evangelion and then palate cleanse it with Gamers. Or at least the first half. Maybe I'm running out of steam on these recommendations, but we got 2 more episodes to go. I'll see y'all next week.